Hello everybody. In this video we will cover anatomy of the spinal cord. We're gonna start with vertebrae first. So if you look at this model, this is anterior side and this is posterior side. This is vertebral. This is body of the vertebrae, spinous process. These two structures are superior articulating processes, vertebral arch and vertebral foramen. So inside the vertebral foramen you will find spinal cord. Also, you can see this blood vessel over here, arteries and veins. They are called vertebral artery and vertebral vein, and they're only found in the cervical region of the body. Now, let's look at spinal cord, and we will start with meninges first. So this gray structure over here is called periosteal dura mater. Below it, this yellow space, so you see lots of adipose tissue and blood vessels. This is epidural space. Now this covering over here is meningeal dura mater, and this brown line is subdural space. Just below subdural space, you can see it's a pretty small space. Just below it we have arachnoid, and this big space over here is subarachnoid space, and this is where cerebrospinal fluid will be found. The last covering is pia mater. Now the spinal cord itself has white matter and gray matter, and gray matter is inside surrounding by white matter. This line over here is posterior medial sulcus. This is anterior medial fissure. The gray matter has several parts that we need to know. First, this structure over here is central canal, where you also can find cerebrospinal fluid. This is gray commissure, anterior horn, posterior horn, and lateral gray horns. So lateral gray horns only found in the thoracic and lumbar region. So in anterior gray horns you will find cell body of somatic motor neurons. In the lateral gray horns you will find cell body of autonomic motor neurons. Now this structure over here on the top and on the bottom, those are rootlets. And now this structure is called posterior root, and this one is anterior root. You also can see this structure. This is posterior root ganglion. Well, sometimes they call it ventral and dorsal, right? So you will hear this is dorsal root, this is ventral root, and this is dorsal root ganglion. So in the dorsal root ganglion you will find cell body of the sensory neurons. So anterior and posterior roots will come together and they will form, I'm sorry, trying to make it better for you to see, this structure over here. This is the spinal nerve. So spinal nerve is formed by anterior and posterior or ventral and dorsal roots, and it will exit the spinal cavity, vertebral cavity, through the intervertebral foramen, and very shortly it will split into two structures. The smallest structure is dorsal ramus, and the biggest structure is ventral ramus. So the spinal nerve, in the spinal nerve we can find both motor and sensory neurons. So this is a mixed nerve, so it's two-way street. But when we get to the roots, in a dorsal root we only will find sensory neurons and sensory fibers, and in the ventral root we only find motor fibers. Okay, so that's it for this model, and thank you for watching.